Okay, everybody. This is Uhfgood, and this should be update. Here, let's check it here. That's a bunch of stuff. Dev stuff. No, videos. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's current. Archived. So that was 48, so this should be update 49. And yes, I do have to keep checking because I don't know which update I'm on. Too much blue there, I think. I wonder if you can pick up that flickering. My light flickers every once in a while. It's an old desk lamp, so. Okay, so the reason that I brought this up is that I found out a few things about the whole navmesh thing. I was trying to do a test scene so you could click somewhere and then have the object move around, and I was trying to use gravity. And when you set, in order to make the follow node here, if you look here on mouse, right? So you click on somewhere, and then with the mouse coordinates, it picks a location on the plane, and then it plugs in the location into the location node here. So basically, I click somewhere on my plane or on my ground or wherever I'm clicking, and the object goes there. Now, I was trying to do gravity. I was trying to allow for gravity because let's see here. This is a physics thing. I was trying to allow for gravity so I could set the player or the cube or whatever you want to call it onto the plane. That didn't go through it and didn't hover above it. But when you do animated, all the physics turns off because I guess generally it's assumed that you're basically taking over the animation or the movement or whatever. So it turns off the physics because you're supposedly doing something with it, like making it go to a specific location or whatever. I don't actually need the physics as such. I do need some collision or some avoidance because in a venture game you click on something and maybe a walk icon and it walks there, it moves there. So it kind of needs to be able to avoid obstacles and like go around them and stuff. So that's why I was using this thing in here called the nav mesh, which is basically a mesh that shows where an object can move around or where it can walk. Now, in the other video that I looked at, you might have saw briefly when you click the generate nav mesh button, you'd see this thing with the different colors appear, and that was where the player could walk. But for some reason, this 2.8 Armory 0.6 build doesn't do that. In fact, it doesn't seem to do anything except when I go to, let's see, it was the plane and object properties. See where it says nav mesh? That's because I clicked nav mesh. I actually wonder if that would still work. Here, let me try something real quick. And that is, let's click on this, right? If you notice here, it doesn't actually go through it, although it still intersects it. That's because the physics aren't working, because it's set to animated. Because you're supposed to be basically doing your own stuff when you're taking control of it, and not letting the physics engine do it. So what would happen, because I might need the nav mesh as a trait, right? Presumably you'd need it as a trait. So if I clicked on minus and I saved it and I hit F5, what would happen? So let's see what happens. Nothing happens. It actually needs the nav mesh, so it actually does create a nav mesh that you can't see. Because in the old versions, you'd actually see a nav mesh object. It would actually be an object up here, specific mesh in here. But apparently, that's not here. So let's go to scene and let's generate nav mesh again. Okay, and now when I go back to object, it's going to be there again. And then if I hit F5, it's going to work again. So it does seem to affect it. You actually do need a nav mesh, which, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be anyways, but it's just the old way actually created an object and you could actually physically see it. And I can't really see it right now. If you notice here, if I click on here, can we move that? No, we can't move that. Why? Probably because I have it set to scene. Let's go to, let's check out, I always get these tabs wrong. Let's go by viewport, so that way we can move the viewport around. So let's hit F5 again. It's kind of interesting kind of learning some of this stuff here. Now, if I move up and right, so let's keep on moving up until I'm kind of like actually there. That, let's go like that. Let's go up a little bit more. Okay, now what if I click on here? I want to make sure not to move this because this is just viewport, which means it actually moves the viewport. But see, if you notice, it's not going through it, which is also kind of interesting to me too. How maybe that's because it's there's not enough room on this side. But see, it does it on this side too. If you notice, it intersects it, but never actually goes through the center. It goes around it. So it's working. And nav mesh is there, I just can't see it, and I still can't figure out why it still does this intersection. Now, if you look at some other examples, if you look at the official nav mesh example, they have a plane where they have like certain faces cut out, so where it can only actually go on those deals. So if I had made this scene, this was actually a scene somebody was helping me out by making a sample scene. And so this wasn't one that I had made on my own originally, but on other scenes, in fact, there's a video. It's in German, so I can't really understand what he's saying, but I could kind of see what was going on in it. He actually has a separate nav mesh plane. He calls it nav mesh, so that's an actual nav mesh object that he added. He added a plane. Somehow he removed some of the faces. You could probably do that by subdividing the plane and then actually removing pieces of it. I still don't know how to how I would do like custom holes or something in it. I still don't know how to do that. But if I subdivided and then enough, and then I did face selection, and I selected certain faces and then removed them where the obstacles would be, it would probably be a little bit better. I could probably get it to a certain point of where it doesn't actually intersect. But also, if you notice here, it rotates, which means potentially you could still rotate in there. But so I kind of learned a few things. First, I've actually had to create a nav mesh, how to generate it. And actually, as far as the nav mesh itself goes, all you do is you create a plane, you click it. I guess it has to be selected for it to work, but it's actually in the scene deal. But anyways, you click generate nav mesh, and Then it actually generates it on the plane, which you saw right here, see? And then, of course, for your player, you need a node tree with this, this is a follow node, right? You click the mouse, it picks a location and converts mouse coordinates to screen coordinates, finds a location on there, plugs it into the go-to location, and then it moves to that location. So you need this node tree, and you need this nav agent, which is a what they call a node bundle, and I'm not really sure what that means exactly, other than maybe it has, like, this has a speed float, which is presumably the speed that it moves. So you assign a nav agent to the cube, and you assign the node tree to the cube as a trait, and then you can do what I just showed there. So also, just now, see, we're at 11 minutes now, so it's about time to wrap it up. We just learned that you actually need a nav mesh, and that nav mesh in 2.8 and 0.6 Armory, specifically Armory 0.6, actually works. So now I could actually translate this to my little test dealing. Now, I probably shouldn't have closed that, but I think I can remember. And in the next video, I will actually show you. Here, I'll do a few things here. Let's see if we can. I don't remember how to add a node here. I guess it would be through this. So input on mouse. Boy, I need to zoom into that. Okay, and we're gonna say started, because that's somehow, I don't know what the difference between started and down. I guess down is always down, and started is just when you click it for the first time. So that kind of makes sense. Okay, so now we need to add another. I don't know. I think it's another input thing. Mouse chords, right? So mouse chords here, and since we're at 12 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here, and I'll see you on the next time, and we'll see if we can make this work.